Episode 99, Getting on Track Through Dopamine Detox.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
Yeah, that plan went south. The plan about making the episodes shorter. It didn't really work out. Sorry for that. Welcome, however, to the 99th episode of the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. What you're hearing clonking is my iPhone in my pocket banging against the desk. So I'm going to take it out. I am healing, or my jaw is, but that's a totally different topic for another episode, because today we're going to keep it really short and promise. And we're going to talk about dopamine and how to detox from it. And you're probably justifiably asking, why in the fucking hell would I want to detox from such a great neurotransmitter, right? Because that's what dopamine is. But we're not going to get all scientific because that doesn't make sense. Because I think I can explain in layman's terms that dopamine is a neurotransmitter, like I said, that leads to a rewarding feeling. So there you go. Let's close the episode. No, seriously though. Dopamine is created in the brain, and it's good stuff. And the brain produces it kind of like as a reward. There are about a gazillion other functions to it. But that's the main thing that we're going to focus on today, right? So you do something, so-called high dopamine activities, and there are low dopamine activities. So your high dopamine activity could, for instance, be video games, social media, checking your phone, or whatever it is at the end of the day. Things you notice that will get you hooked over long periods of time, while you probably should be doing other things, and you procrastinate that away. By the way, check episodes 91 to 93 if you're suffering from procrastination, and this dopamine thing could actually have something to do with it. So, just check those episodes out. It's about, how to cycle out of procrastination. Pretty rewarding and cool episodes. A lot of research. I hope I've sold it to you finally. So, getting back on track. So, you also have high dopamine activities, such as smoking or alcohol, or those kind of things, which could potentially impact your health, right? And I've been there, and I go there about every hour from smoking. But I'm very smart. I combine smoking with checking my phone and my social media, and not playing video games. I do that at other times, but you can combine your hooks and your whatever it is at the end of the day, your addictions, and make yourself more efficient by combining it. That's actually a cool title for an episode, but different. So there are low dopamine activities, like I said, which is like cleaning your place, studying, workout, health, doing health-focused things. And that's actually where not so much dopamine is released into and by the brain, which makes these tasks shitty. in your perception, because it's much more rewarding to play video games, for instance, and check your Facebook if you have received any new likes or if there are new things. And, dead giveaway, Facebook rewards you. They have a very, 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 very fucking good algorithm that suckers everyone into their phone or computer or whatever it is at the end of the day, just to keep you hooked as long as possible. So they play with this dopamine release. Sorry, I was scratching my beard. And now let's, talk about detox, because that's what we're here for. And my jaw hurts. So this could actually be an exercise episode for a Friday, but I decided, because it's not really, that much that you need to do to detox yourself, is to set up a regime where at first, one day of the week, you do no high dopamine activities. And I know how hard it can be to stop the smoking. I will never, ever. But things like playing video games, social media, checking phone, they're less difficult because there's no actual chemical interference with the brain. It's just the dopamine release itself. You don't have the dopamine release through another chemical interaction with your body, like smoking or alcohol. Those are very difficult to get rid of, by the way, much more so than, like I said, the video game, social media, blah. So later, for every hour of low dopamine activity, like you clean the apartment for an hour and then you get 15 minutes of high dopamine activity, right? Which would be your smoking or whatever it is at the end of the day. And then you kind of increase the regime by, taking 2 hours of low dopamine activity, and then you decrease the high dopamine activity even further, and you keep this regime going for 2 or 3 weeks, just to get yourself out of the cycle. Sorry, that was a microphone that I banged. And then you will see that your reaction will be improved, to your high dopamine activities. You don't need them for so long, except for social media, because they try to suck you in. But, an hour of video games will be okay for you, rather than spending 8, trying to solve this quest and that quest. And damn, I could do another 5 minutes, which then turn into 3 hours. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And it's about kind of reactivating your receptors for the dopamine, right? Make them more, it's like, how do I best put it? It's like when you smoke your first cigarette ever, it's like, it tastes bad, right? But you get used to it, and then you're like a second and third, fourth, better. And then you get used to it, and then you're hooked. And it's about breaking this hook and getting into a situation where you're back in control. I think that's where we actually want to go. And that's pretty much it. And then, after these 2 or 3 weeks, after sticking to this regime, take a journal and make yourself aware. Usually you have one place where you go smoking, put a sign and say, nope, not for another 2 hours, or put a clock there, whatever. And try to control yourself that way. If you're playing video games, set an alarm on your phone or your watch or whatever, and say, okay, I've got 15 minutes and they're up. And then it's about self-discipline and awareness that you're doing this detox challenge to actually get you out of there at that moment. But it's something that's very easy to do once you got the hang of it. And then you will see that the reward feeling that you get will be intensified, just because it's not something that you're used to and that you have ample access to, but it's something very special. And those connections that are made then make the feeling that you get from the dopamine much more intense. I think that's the point, right? And I think we'll leave it at that. I think I got the point across. The exercise is, again, very simple. And easy for a lot of people to achieve, except for smokers. And in that sense, yeah, if you know anybody that needs that dopamine detox, sit them down, help them for all it's worth, because it's much easier if you go through it with someone rather than alone. And share this episode with them, and then say, hey, let's sit down and do something about your thing. And subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. We have pretty cool episodes, and the 100th episode coming up tomorrow, which is actually a milestone I never thought we would reach, but all the better. And have a successful day. If you've already had your successful day, have a good night and stay safe. And I'll be in touch tomorrow with the 100th episode. I'm totally psyched. Well, kind of. Pain meds are wearing off. See you tomorrow, folks.